Hayes from the Weekly Standard, Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report, Fox News media analyst and host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Well, Charles, it seems to me that Trump was taking quite a risk today, holding this meeting with the Mexican president with so little preparation. Peña Nieto could have roasted him, but in fact, it was respectful, it was diplomatic, and it put Trump on the international stage. Do you think it'll help him?
Yes. He took a risk and he pulled it off. Look, the big negative about Trump, the thing that the Clinton campaign plays on, is the fact that it's hard to imagine him as president. Being presidential is the thing he's been trying to do. The staff has been trying to get for him for the last 6 months. Now here he is standing on the world stage with a world leader. This is a big step. He not only held his own, I think in some ways, he sort of dominated. The Mexican president was rather defensive, asking for respect. Trump, I thought, spoke well. And then if you noticed at the very end when they took questions, it was Trump who took charge. He's sitting in the palace of the president of Mexico. This never happens. Normally, it's the host who picks the journalist. Trump took charge naturally, walked off the stage as the dominant guy. He pulled it off. I think he really helped himself.
I'm going to ask the controller and put up the still picture that I asked for, because it seems to me that this is one of the big takeaways from this meeting today. Maybe there it goes. And it seems to me that this is kind of worth its weight in gold, Steve. I mean, there you have President Peña Nieto, and as Charles says, almost like an equal, Donald Trump on a presidential stage. Interestingly enough, after the meeting, in the news conference, Trump said that yes, they discussed the wall, they did not discuss how to pay for it. On the other hand, I will tell you that the presidential spokesman for Peña Nieto just put out word that in fact the Mexican president told them that Mexico would not pay for it. Having said all of that, your reaction to the meeting today?
I agree with Charles. I think this is actually the single best day of the general election campaign for Donald Trump, because, as Charles said, I mean, this was Hillary Clinton's goal, was to otherize Donald Trump. Remember, in the early stages of the general election campaign, she attacked him more or less as a typical Republican. He's going to lower your taxes. He favors the wealthy. It'd be bad Supreme Court choices. Women's choice would be taken away. And then she turned at the Democratic convention and decided to make Donald Trump unacceptable. He couldn't be commander-in-chief. He's unfit to serve as president, trying to make him look dangerous, a threat really to the future of the republic. And what you saw today was Trump not only standing with a would-be ally or an ally, a traditional ally, but an ally whose citizens he's basically attacked again and again and again for the better part of the last year. And to pull it off, and to seem calm and rational
Does
and
the
reasonable.
fact that Trump said they didn't discuss who was going to pay for it, and Peña Nieto's spokesman says they did, does that make a difference?
Of course it makes a difference, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as the picture you just showed and the broader news coming out of there. I think it'll actually matter. This appearance down there will actually end up mattering a lot more than what we hear tonight in the speech.
Well, let's talk about that, because Trump's hard line on immigration helped him big time during the Republican primaries. But I want to put up some numbers from this new Fox poll, which may indicate why there's such an effort to pivot on this. What should happen, the pollsters asked, to illegal immigrants working in the U.S.? 77% said legalize them. Only 19% say deport them. Amy, is that what Trump's apparent softening on this issue is all about?
Certainly. This is the pivoting that we've been hearing he was going to be making since May. And every time there was a pivot, then there was I guess I'm going to mix my metaphors, but he would use he would shoot himself in his pivot foot, okay? And then we would make the case that, well, the next time he's going to make the pivot, and the next time this is going to stick, and he's going to be a general election candidate. Then he went into the convention, and he basically went on a message that was all about the primary. He was doing nothing to suggest that he was speaking to general election voters. Now, finally, this many weeks after the convention, he is trying to talk to general election voters. I agree with both of my colleagues here that going down there was a big risk, but it was a risk that looks like it has paid off. The question I think that so many voters have, especially the voters I talk to, is whether this is going to stick. Is the Donald Trump we saw down in Mexico today the one who looked presidential, the one who seemed to be commanding the stage, the same person we're going to see a week from now or a few days from now? And many voters have concluded, at least the ones that I've been listening to, that it's just not going to change. Ultimately, the person that we saw before this meeting, before the primaries, during the primaries, is the person that we're going to see throughout the rest of the campaign.
Well, what we're going to see first is a speech later tonight, the much ballyhooed speech in which Trump is going to lay out his immigration plan. Howie, from what we've heard over the last week, not only from Trump, but from all of his top advisors, his running mate, what do you expect to hear tonight?
First, I'm trying not to fall off my chair here, and Charles Krauthammer and Steve Hayes say positive things about Donald Trump, so he must have really had a good day.
Right.
And it shows his gambler's instinct, his showman's instinct, and taking a kind of risk that you never see Hillary Clinton taking in this campaign. As far as the speech tonight, I think even though there's been a lot of messiness and different surrogates sending different messages, I mean, Mike Huckabee, a top Trump surrogate, said on my show Sunday that Trump realizes it's utterly impractical to try to deport 11 million people to just round them up. That's not going to happen. Indeed, that's not going to happen, I believe. But I think we'll hear a lot of tough talk about the wall and back taxes, and this is an amnesty. But by meeting with Peña Nieto today and pulling this off, the fact that Trump will, in effect, probably, in my view, confirm that there isn't going to be any mass deportations, I think will become the secondary story, and so it won't hurt him as much.
Yeah, I want to ask you about it, because when I was talking to Kellyanne Conway, the new campaign manager over the weekend, she basically was saying, look, we're going to build the wall, we're going to set up all these things, E-Verify, all these various measures, we're going to get rid of the bad guys, almost like we're going to put off the issue of what happens to legal immigrants until we see where we are. Will that work, and will that be enough for his base supporters?
I'm not sure that his base has anywhere else to go at this point. If you feel really strongly about the issue of illegal immigration, you are probably for Donald Trump. And at the same time, what he's trying to do is expand that base of people who think that the idea of kicking 11 million people out, even though they're here illegally, was crazy, who were fearful of Donald Trump being a hothead on the international stage. So this could turn out to be not just a good day for Donald Trump, but something that doesn't necessarily bring him a lot more Latino votes, but other kinds of voters as well.
Real quick, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not likely to lose a ton of people, but I do think it will matter to some people in his base for whom illegal immigration is the signature issue. The bigger question is whether he erodes his brand as being this tough guy, outspoken, say anything, sort of damn the consequences guy, and I think that's probably the bigger risk.
Panel, we have to step aside for a moment. Next up, Hillary Clinton's emails and her slipping poll numbers.